At last, let's talk about the man himself. We're going a little into some of how Lars Marius got into farmhouse brewing scene, and even more about the concept of styles in farmhouse brewing. How is it really in farmhouse brewing? Can you even call it a style? And how are they different? Yet again, just a friendly reminder for all my patrons, or all of you that consider becoming my patrons. I'm giving away these two beautiful examples of a book in December. That's an annual thing I'm doing, giving away things in December. Of course, signed books by Lars Marius himself. Links below to the Patreon page. No more talking for me. Let's just jump into this week's episode.
I started as a beer enthusiast, was just interested in beer. Specifically in, what kinds of beer there were, what they tasted like, why. And then I discovered, basically by random, I got hold of a bottle of Stjørdalsøl. And it just blew my mind because it was completely off the map, both in terms of the flavor and also it had to be a new style, but it wasn't on the style list. So that's when we got inspired to do the 2014 expedition through Norway. When we visited Sigmund and Stjørdal and also people in Oppdal and so on. And after that, I was sold. Yeah.
And I think you're into some important points about the style guides or the styles, because the styles of farmhouse brewing are totally different. Can you tell me something about why and how they are totally different from the style that we know?
Well, I think there's two things. So the first is that a style as we know it as modern beer people, that's really a label that you put on a product so that the consumer has some idea what's in the can or in the keg. And in the farmhouse world, that's pointless. But the reason that these beers are so different is essentially that commercial brewing branched off from farmhouse brewing, say 800 years ago, roughly. And they've basically been developing in separate ways ever since. So all of the technological progress that happened in commercial brewing, almost none of it made it into farmhouse brewing. Like big technological improvements in farmhouse brewing is introduction of the garden hose, introduction of the metal kettle, that kind of thing. So it's basically that they've been separated and just each living in their separate world for so long.
So this was the second episode from my talk with Lars Marius. I recommend you see the first one if you haven't done it yet, or else you can go on to see the playlist about the Norsk Festival if you haven't seen it. And until next time, traveler, safe travels.